Hi, everyone. The Grade 2 Pat O'Brien Stakes is the feature race on Saturday at Del Mar. It's a 7 furlong main track sprint, and it's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. It seems a little unusual, perhaps, that a one-turn sprint would be a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile around 2 turns, but it actually kind of does make sense because at 7 furlongs, the Pat O'Brien can kind of draw from 2 distinct groups. 6 furlong specialists and maybe milers. So it could be a prep race for either race, the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile or the Breeders' Cup Sprint. 17 of the last 20 Pat O'Brien winners actually made it to the Breeders' Cup. 11 of them ran in the sprint. 6 of them ran in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Golden Sense is the only Dirt Mile winner who ran in the Pat O'Brien. He actually won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile 2 consecutive years in 13 and 14. He finished second in the O'Brien in 2013. He won the race in 2014. As far as Breeders' Cup Sprint winners, you have to go all the way back to 2008 to find a Breeders' Cup Sprint winner that so much as even competed in the Pat O'Brien. That was Midnight Lute in 2008. Back in the 1990s, 93, 96, and 97, Cardmania, Lead to Justice, and Elmhurst all ran in the Pat O'Brien and then later won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So the Pat O'Brien is kind of one of those tweener type races in which a 6 furlong horse might be able to stretch out another furlong. Occasionally, a 2-turn main track horse can shorten up to 7 furlongs. This year's field is large and it is deep. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lineup. A field of 10 in the Pat O'Brien. It's race number 10, 7 furlongs, and favoritism likely to fall on one of the horses near the outside. Last year's winner, CZ Rocket, or last year's runner-up, Flagstaff. CZ Rocket and Flagstaff finished 1-2 in the Pat O'Brien a year ago. They're back this year. I think that Flagstaff, they're both 7 years old, by the way, and if either one of them wins the Pat O'Brien, they'll be the first 7-year-old to win this race. It's been run 35 times, and no 7-year-old, in fact, no horse over 6 years old has ever won the Pat O'Brien. So CZ Rocket and Flagstaff trying to make a little bit of history, and they enter the race in respectable form, even though Flagstaff hasn't started in 3 months. I think he's been training very well for his comeback. Other contenders, Ginobili earned a 104 Beyer speed figure last time out. Number 2, Howbeit is as sharp and as an improved sprinter in the allowance ranks that we have on the circuit this year. 8 Rings and Classier have both won age-restricted graded stakes races, and Brickyard Ride is always a threat up on the front end. So we're going to kind of go in reverse order of preference. I'm going to start off talking about a horse that uncorked one of the most dazzling displays of speed that we have seen this meet. I'm referring to number 1, Ginobili. What Ginobili did on opening weekend of the summer meet was nothing short of breathtaking. This is in a one-of-the-van dirt mile on July 17th at Del Mar, and Ginobili, who had pressed a very fast pace going 45 and change, 109 and change, when's he going to stop? Well, he did not. Ginobili ran off the screen. He won by more than 9 lengths, a mile in 136. He earned a 104 Beyer speed figure that is the highest of the meet so far. Tripoli earned a 104 Beyer speed figure, winning the Pacific Classic last weekend. But Ginobili was the first horse this summer to earn a 104 Beyer speed figure, and boy, did he do it the right way. Now, the challenge on Saturday is this. Ginobili's runaway win was a 2-turn dirt mile from an outside post. Saturday in the Pat O'Brien, poor Ginobili is stuck on the rail going 7 furlongs, so he cannot get the same type of trip that he got last time out. Maybe he's just really good right now and it won't matter. Both of his career wins have been on the Del Mar surface, so we know that Ginobili likes Del Mar. But for him to win the Pat O'Brien breaking from post 1, he's going to need every imaginable break. Now, he has trained well since that race. I just don't see him getting the same trip. On pure, raw ability, he absolutely fits. But he's up against it from the rail going 7 furlongs. Okay, the most improved allowance sprinter in California has to be a horse by the name of Howbeit. Howbeit was claimed early this year for $32,000 by trainer Mark Glatt, and this guy has really gotten good. He won a one-of-the-van 2 starts back, and then last time out, over the Del Mar racetrack. This is a 2 other than, and take a look and see what Howbeit did, rallying wide in a 2 other than sprint. And not only did he win the race, but he won the race going away by more than 4 lengths. There's he is on the far outside. Howbeit winning by more than 4 lengths with a 99 Beyer speed figure. Now, can you go from a 2 other than win into a grade 2 sprint? Well, yeah, you can. In fact, in 2017, it was a horse by the name of Giant Expectations who finished second in a 1 other than allowance sprint and jumped right straight into the Paddle Brien and won the race. So it's not easy to do, and Giant Expectations is the only Paddle Brien winner in the last 20 years to win the race with no previous stakes form. So Howbeit, you only have to go back to 2017, but it was a long way before then when a horse without stakes form won the Paddle Brien. But Howbeit is very, very good right now. In fact, I picked him third. He's my third preference, and I respect him, and he's in top form. His trainer, Mark Glatt, would have preferred to run in a 3 other than allowance, but the race did not fill, and that's why Howbeit is in the Paddle Brien. He might be good enough to spring an upset. Okay. What do you do with last year's Paddle Brien winner, CZ Rocket? I suspect that he has lost a step this year at age 7, but it's only a suspicion, and I could be wrong. Here's what I know about CZ Rocket. When he won the Paddle Brien last year, he entered the Paddle Brien off a series of highly rated wins, 4 consecutive wins going into last year's Paddle Brien, and then he defeated Flagstaff. This year, his last 2 starts, CZ Rocket's last 2 starts, have left a little bit to be desired, even though he ran well enough last time out to maybe give him another chance. He was favored in the Bing Crosby going 6 furlongs. And let's take a look at CZ Rocket in the stretch of the 6 furlong Bing Crosby. That's him on the far outside. And he's going to come along. It takes him a while to kind of kick into gear. It seems like he's lost a little bit of his early speed, or the tactical speed that he once had. And when a horse a veteran begins to lose his or her early speed, to me, it can be a telltale sign of potentially declining form. Now, look, you can't knock that effort by CZ Rocket. He finished fast on the outside. He lost by a neck. He ran okay. But my gut feeling, and again, I could be flat wrong, is that CZ Rocket is not quite the horse that he was last year at 6. And if he wins the race again, well, good for him. But I'm going to take a stand against CZ Rocket, recognizing that I could be wrong. Okay, the key to the race is the horse that's going to set the pace, and that is the fastest horse in the race, and his name is Brickyard Ride. He is an absolute enigma. You never can be sure what you're going to get with Brickyard Ride beyond his early speed. Whether he makes it to the wire first in front or not is, well, it's usually a coin flip. But when he is on his game, and he certainly wasn't on his game in the Bing Crosby, Brickyard Ride set the pace. He floundered and finished 5th. He got beat a length and a half, kind of a disappointing effort for those of us who liked him in the Bing Crosby. I did like him that day, and he disappointed, but he's come back to train well. And when Brickyard Ride gets things his own way up on the front end, and when he handles the surface, he can be nothing short of dazzling. And he was exactly that when we go back and watch the tape of his most recent start at 7 furlongs. This is March 6th in the San Carlos, and Brickyard Ride opened up on the field and ran them off the screen. This is his most recent start at 7 furlongs. It also was at Santa Anita, and there is a strong possibility that Brickyard Ride, in fact, it's really more than a possibility, it's a likelihood that Brickyard Ride prefers Santa Anita over Del Mar. He started 3 times at Del Mar. He has only a 3rd place finish, but at Santa Anita, he is a killer up on the front end. Now, he's the key to the Paddle Brien because I expect him to set the pace again. He did bobble at the break last time out. He had to be rushed a little bit. Ultimately, it was a disappointing effort. But trainer Craig Lewis, He is convinced that Brickyard Ride is as good as he has been all year. Again, you just never can be sure what you're going to get with Brickyard Ride. A front runner who hits a wall at the head of the lane, or a front runner who opens up on the field and keeps on going. Brickyard Ride is my second preference in the race. I respect his speed, and when he fires, he is as good as any sprinter in Southern California. But the most probable winner of the Pat O'Brien is last year's runner-up, and he's the 7-year-old Flagstaff, a 7-year-old gelding named Flagstaff, trained by John Sadler, owned by Ronus Racing, and he is as good now. In fact, he's better this year at age 7 than at any point in his career. He hasn't started since June 4th. That layoff of nearly 3 months was by design. And one of the reasons why Sadler gave him the break after his June 4th runner-up finish in the True North is because he ran the best race of his career last time out. Let's roll the tape and go back to early June at Belmont Park. And Flagstaff giving Belmont specialist Forense Fire, who's down on the rail, all he can handle. Forense Fire is unbeatable at Belmont, but Flagstaff made him work. This is going 6.5 furlongs in the True North, and Flagstaff ran super in defeat. He earned a 101 Beyer speed figure. That was the best number of his career. Sadler gave him time. He has trained well. And how does he do at Del Mar? Well, let's take a look 1 year ago. CZ Rocket on the outside, Flagstaff in between horses, and CZ Rocket will get the best of Flagstaff. See where CZ Rocket is positioned in this race? A lot more forwardly placed last year than this year, and CZ Rocket inches clear of Flagstaff in the lane. Again, with regards to CZ Rocket, maybe he has lost the speed that he had a year ago, but that was a year ago when Flagstaff was second best to CZ Rocket, and it's possible CZ Rocket is simply a better horse than Flagstaff. But I suspect that CZ Rocket's not quite the same, and I know for sure that Flagstaff is training super for his comeback. This is the race to which Sadler and Ronus Racing have pointed him all summer, talking about Flagstaff. And if he runs well, he's going to be on to the Breeders' Cup. More likely for the Breeders' Cup Sprint than the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Even 6 furlongs is probably too short for Flagstaff, who at 7 furlongs, which is kind of one of those specialty distances, Flagstaff has raced 7 furlongs 6 times, 4 wins, including 3 graded stakes wins. He is sharp. He is good. He has tactical speed. Flagstaff should be sitting second or third behind Brickyard Ride. If and when Brickyard Ride decides to throw in the towel, Flagstaff should get first run. I think Flagstaff is the most probable winner on the entire Saturday card at Del Mar. I like Flagstaff to win race 10. It's the Pat O'Brien Stakes Saturday at Del Mar.